Why, hello there. If you don't already recognize my sultry voice, this is DJartt of the High Score 510 podcast. First of all, I would like to thank you for listening to our show. Second of all, I want to remind you with a shameless plug of our Patreon page. Join our growing community and help support an indie podcast. The perks of being a patron, you ask? Number 1, you'll get our weekly quick hitters. Number 2, you'll get feature conversations that are too hot for our regular show. And number 3, we cannot leave out number 3. Why, Jesus will bless you. So go check out patreon.com/highscore510. And for the price of a tall pumpkin spice latte, you can help AG3 afford his Peloton subscription. Regardless of which, we appreciate your support and hope you enjoy the show.
You are listening to High Score 510, where real talk is our vernacular.
Instead of bringing Steve back, they should have focused on like that relationship and then how that disintegrates during this whole monkey's paw, which was a big mess anyway. They should have focused on that instead of bringing him back. That didn't make sense either, because the fact that somehow this wish could put up a wall in the middle of the Great Nile River, but yet he got to come back in somebody else's body. I don't understand that.
Yeah, especially during the time of the 80s when there was all kinds of worries about just sleeping with random strangers.
I think the Wishing Stone thought that maybe Wonder Woman was black, and that's why they didn't give her a full wish like it did everybody else.
God.
It was like, oh, wait, this black person? What? Not in Reagan's America, man. Put him in that other dude's body.
Oh man, you guys
Everybody else
need to be in the
can get what
writers'
they
room
want.
for that one. You all needed to be in the writers' room for that film. It would have been a very different film, maybe watchable.
Conor McGregor done? Do you think he's done? And should he have taken the Jake Paul fight before he got knocked out?
He can still take it now.
He can still take it, but he's not gonna get $50 million necessarily. Jake Paul was saying, "Man, I got an equity firm that's willing to put down $50 million in money." Apparently, that's what Jake Paul said. I don't really believe that for a bit. But no, is Conor McGregor done, or do you think there's something to be salvaged? I think he's done. We don't even have to talk about that one. We could say that one for another time. But since it just happened, I could also show you the clip of the knockout if I can get it up here. But
yeah, Aaron, like I was telling Jared, well, I told you yesterday it's gonna get minimal out of me.
We usually get minimal out of you. We just be lying and acting like we getting good shit from you.
No, basically you getting total minimal.
I'm getting out. So sound like we basically getting out of you what your wife normally get in bed out of you. Don't worry, Peadro. I'll fake it. When it's all over, I'll just tell him, yeah, it was good for me. when you off the charts, yeah, that was good for me, Peadro.
Do you feel it yet? Do you feel it?
Exactly.
Is that a little better? Shit, I'm giving you all the regular sex I got.
Peadro, man, you need to get some beads and some oils or something. At least start with some candles.
Well, that's as far as I'm gonna take it. I can be romantic.
Didn't Teddy Pendergrass turn out the lights?
Yeah, that's.
Wait, what did he say? Did he say light a candle? Did he say
light a candle? Light a candle.
He says light a candle. Yeah. See, you can get some of them. What is it? Those herbal or those essential oil candles, Peadro.
He wasn't talking about getting those scented candles now.
He's like, get one of them candles your grandparents had in the plastic wrap. Them tall candles.
Wrapped in plastic, those tall ass candles. Yep. He basically telling you how to burn down your fucking apartment building trying to make love.
Matt, you sound like you have like a really like calming presence on the mic. You remind me of that. Remember the SNL skit with the women who would do their radio show and talk really calmly about making food and other things, like the sweaty balls.
They had the sweaty ball skit.
Yeah, the sweaty ball skit.
It's like the APR skit.
And they had no effect or no emotionally. Oh my goodness, this is so good. I really like this. This is so tasty.
Absolutely delicious. We were talking about scented candles earlier. My favorite.
My favorite. Peadro sound like the alien frequencies are coming through. All right.
Yeah, he beyond. Sound like he's at that alien truck stop in Utah.
We lost him. He'll come back in though. Yeah, Peadro over there. Like, man, that movie just came out on HBO Max. I just saw it, the Charlie Sheen, The Arrival. That movie that came out, The Arrival.
I didn't know he was still acting.
No. It came out in '98, but it was about aliens and The Arrival, and he's like, he's basically an astrologist or whatever. He's working satellites and listening for frequencies coming from space. Anyways.
Man, if Charlie Sheen could work satellites, anybody could get one of those jobs.
Man, you gotta watch that movie. It was classic, man. I like that movie. It came out when I was in middle school, high school, and I watched the shit out of that movie.
Charlie Sheen recently did an advertisement with his dad, Martin Sheen.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
About discount prescription drugs.
Yeah. Yeah, he's trying to.
Wow, what a. He just segued right into there, huh?
Man, hey, you know what? He can use them.
Singlecare.com.
Oh yeah, that was. I remember I saw that. I was like, and he's like, "That's my line, Dad." I was like,
"Wow."
Hashtag winning. All right, well, let's get the show started. Y'all ready to start the show?
Yeah. I mean, I thought we started already.
Yeah, we've been started. Yeah. Well, Matisse, I need a letter.
You need a letter?
Yes, a letter for my vocal warm-up, my tongue twister.
P.
Pomegranates, persimmons, pugnacious, pandas, propagating promiscuously.
Ooh, baby, I got Popeyes.
We have a new pop. We also have a new Popeyes lady.
There's a new one?
Oh, God. Yes, it is. Yeah. Man, I don't even want to discuss that.
Oh, I need to see this.
I don't even want to discuss that. It's been around for a couple of weeks, Jerry. You don't watch enough.
I don't watch enough. I do not. I give you that.
I don't know. Could be a good thing or a bad thing.
I'm gonna say it's a good thing for my mentals.
No, because you replace it with worse shit on the internet. Like, it'll be fine if you didn't watch television. You're like, man, yeah, that's right. I don't watch that much television no more. I read, go work out, go for hikes. But no, you replace it by being on the internet at night on some crap trash nights.
No, I just go on my conspiracy IG accounts and my conspiracy Twitter accounts and see what they got for me each day. I'll be sending Peadro some good stuff.
Oh my God. Yeah, we probably need to you need to put that Bill Gates and quick hitters.
Oh yeah, that shit. I don't know. We're gonna see. Anyways, all right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening to the High Score 510 podcast. You can catch us at High Score 510 on the Instagram, the YouTube, and check out Hipster Horcrux Chronicles on the Twitter. You can also email the show at highscore510.fans@gmail.com. And we are here with...
this is Aaron Grayson, also known as AG3, coming at you faster than all of my ex-girlfriends writing articles of impeachment on me. I got impeached out of relationships faster than you could count to 3.
Are you saying I'm stealing? The man didn't say you was stealing, girl. Now come on over and sit down and shut the fuck up.
You shut the fuck up, Benny. I would tell you to kiss my ass too, but you probably can't find it, you blind motherfucker.
Fuck you, bitch.
And we are here with...
Hello, everybody. It's your family captain, Captain B-Funk, coming to you from snowy Arizona.
You want to go embarrass yourself with this thing?
Embarrass myself. My family, my children, my mother can hold her head up in any neighborhood in the city when she walks down the block. See, in all the 5 boroughs, I'm known. Forget about it. I'm known all over the fucking world. Anybody ask anybody about Lefty from Mulberry Street.
Forget about it.
What movie is that from?
That's from Donnie Brasco. Forget about it.
That's what I thought, Donnie Brasco. Okay. You asked me for that one, right, Aaron?
Yeah, that's a great one. Forget about it. I'm known.
And we are here with our guest today.
Hello, everybody. I'm here to talk about scented candles.
All right.
Therapy for the sound and the audio.
Man, Matt, almost sound like you're making an ASMR video right now.
Sounds good.
This might help the listeners.
This one, yeah, we're gonna put.
They might get some wrong ideas, but it's gonna help them.
You're gonna have to put them in the mood or put them to sleep. You know, people gonna be over here. All right, here we go. Let's see what we got for you. I'm gonna choose random color.
It's me, Snow Bunny. I don't come in your jurisdiction throwing town picnics. Your he is all up in mines, pimping hoes.
It's just a kissing booth.
Call it what you will, but Pope Sweet Jesus, it's taking half. You work for me now, hoe.
Sure.
Let me taste the goods. Put it on me. Greasy. We back in business.
Greasy.
Was that Norbit? Or is it?
That's Norbit.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
That's Norbit. That's my son's favorite movie.
And my name is Jarrett, aka DJartt, with 2 T's for a double dose of that tink tink. The D is silent, so it's just Jarrt.
How much for an order of ribs?
$2.50.
$2.50? How many ribs do I get with that?
About 5.
5? So I guess that's about 50 cents a rib, huh?
Yeah, about.
Okay, let me get one.
Right on. One order. One order ribs.
No. One rib.
One rib.
I sure am hungry.
I sure am hungry. All right.
Classic.
Well, welcome everybody, and welcome Matt. Matt, you're here. Pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
I guess we want to introduce you to the show a little bit. So, tell us what it is that you do.
What would you say you do here?
Sure. Yeah, I work professionally as an architectural designer, design buildings, and I also am very active in the UC Santa Cruz community, trying to advocate for the well-being of the students and the value of the campus for the students, as a current board member for the Alumni Council, and try to stay active in that. I think that's important.
Nice. Okay.
Went to UC Santa Cruz, so I try to keep it real there.
Yeah, stay in tune with your alma mater. That's a beautiful thing.
I had a question about UC Santa Cruz.
Yeah, Aaron, go ahead.
My question is this: are the students? I know from when I was in school in the mid '90s, are the students still, what is their main battle now? I remember before, the kind of politics of the school, the students was to legalize weed. So now that it's legalized, what do they do now? Is there are the kids into surfing now, or are they actually now they wearing suits and in the following stock market? I can't imagine UC Santa Cruz having a student population that's not fighting for legalizing weed anymore.
Well, I think, that's an interesting question. That's a really interesting question. I admit I don't remember the fight for legalizing weed when I was there. I think there were too many people embracing the opportunity to use it.
Yeah, but that was when once they step off of campus, they're like, "Oh shit! I ain't free to use it like I used to be able to use it. Legalize it." And I was like,
well, it wasn't legal on campus either, but as it wasn't anywhere. But no, it's an interesting question because you're basically touching on the idea of activism and people feeling committed to do something for the public good. And UC Santa Cruz has a long history of that. Part of the original idea of the campus was to weave within this natural environment. As you may be familiar, the campus is a spectacular natural environment. It's about 2,000 acres on a 900-foot incline. And part of the idea was to weave these small residential colleges, almost like little mini liberal arts colleges, within this forest and around different academic facilities. The idea being how do you create the intimacy of a small college within the resources of a large university? And one of the people that founded the university, Clark Kerr, shortly after he got the opportunity to start planning it, became the president of the University of California. He was really attuned to what was going on at the time. And in the late 1950s, he was even part of a conference, a UC conference, on the topic of basically how does the university grow and expand academic access within the context of competing economic and social demands. And in 1964, 65 was the Berkeley Free Speech Movement. And, a lot of people will sometimes, occasionally, they'll look at UC Santa Cruz and say, why is there no central green or no central gathering place in the same way that there's, Sproul Plaza or, University of Virginia with like a big green in the center? And Clark Kerr was very aware of the fact that at other universities, there was brewing discontent, this sort of feeling of being anonymous. And he wanted to address that by how the university was designed to give students as well as faculty more authority and autonomy in terms of shaping and designing their education, to help them be part of really institutionally on a smaller scale communities, and to provide that social safety net for people in that context. And so the idea of UC Santa Cruz being with distributed colleges within the natural environment was really principled on that it was an antidote in a way to the kinds of social forces that made people feel anonymous and isolated, creating conditions for people to say, hey, we're just a cog in a machine. So the motive, the design of the campus has always been caught up in this idea of sort of giving people voice and agency. And interestingly enough, as times have passed, a lot of alumni, as well as a lot of students when they're on campus, have taken up some very social causes and advocated for things that they are passionately believe in. And I think the design of the campus is essential to that. To get from class to class, you're moving through a forest. You have to be sensitive to that ecology. You have to be sensitive to not only your view and perspective, both in terms of our mind, but also view and perspective how we're looking out at the world, as well as those of others. And the notion of there being these different residential communities, these colleges, these living, learning communities, it's like each one's a little village. So when you go to visit another college, I lived at Porter College on one side of the campus, and I had a number of very good friends, Todd and Armin, you probably know them.
Mm-hmm.
They lived on the other side of the campus. And so I would cross to the other side of the campus. And in a way, when you go to another college, it's like you're visiting another community, another way of life, another set of principles, another set of ideas. And the kind of confrontation of different views that would create was, I think, for a lot of alumni and a lot of students, very revealing about how to ask questions about the world and how to view differences as something that can be learned from, and that you really want to encounter differences. And so you ask the question of what are students, basically being active about now.
Mm-hmm.
And, UC Santa Cruz, because of, I think the way in which it was designed to try and give junior faculty and students authority over their own education and autonomy and self-organization, there's been a lot of pressure system-wide to try and centralize some of these impulses of self-authorship and collective and communal energy. There's been a lot of activity about that over the years, but this past year is interesting. Right before the pandemic hit the United States, there was a large protest effort that had started up. It really had begun the year before. And I'm not an expert on this, but it was really quite fascinating and important. What was going on was graduate students at UC Santa Cruz, and this ended up spreading to UC Davis, UCLA, UC Santa Barbara, UC Merced, UC San Francisco, literally across the system. Graduate students were saying, hey, the cost of living in Santa Cruz and, in these other communities is too high.
Yeah.
We can't afford to live here. And, there's some fluctuation in these numbers depending on programs and which campus you're at, which makes complete sense. But generally speaking, graduate students, they're making about $22,000 a year in salary as their labor, their work.
Mm-hmm.
And they're also, taking classes and writing and doing things at the same time. And they're struggling to make ends meet. This, of course, is a huge problem across the state, not only with UC's system, but also with the Cal State programs, where you have students that are homeless, students literally living in closets, by no exaggeration, students that are turning to housing opportunities where the landlord's saying, hey, I'm not going to rent a house to you, but I'm going to rent per head, so you can bring as many people you want. It's incredibly sad. And it's just such an enormous amount of physical and psychological pressure on these students. And so the graduate students, recognizing this, they had approached the university administration the year before, and they said, hey, look, we would like to request that you guys put together a cost of living adjustment, or COLA as they were framing it. And I think that it had happened elsewhere as well. So there was precedent to this. But they were asking the university to study this, and the university was sort of like putting it off and saying, we're going to look at it. We're going to come up with some different strategies. And the way I understand what happened is that the Graduate Student Association, the student graduate student body governance, had some kind of organizing call with the people that they represented collectively, and there was a collective impromptu decision to go on strike. That decision was to, as I understand it, was to withhold grades, because what they do is they input grades in basically like a online spreadsheet or something. So their idea was, if we withhold grades, we kind of hold on to something that we can use as like bargaining power. And, I'm sure there's pluses and minuses to how people debate whether one strategy is better than another. But it ended up having enough pressure that the university was like, I want you to stop that. Long story short, protests began after that. And the protests at UC Santa Cruz ended up spreading to protests at other UCs. There was enormous support. If you go to their website, payusmoreucsc.com, it's an incredible website, because you go there and there's like an unbelievable amount of articles that were written about this across tons of news media and publications in basically December, January, February, March of last year. And they go into an immense amount of detail. So there's tons of information. But long story short, the university was like, no, we're not going to deal with this. Eventually, they said that they would provide something to graduate students, a sort of like a type of a subsidy. I don't want to speak to something I don't really understand, but there was a type of a subsidy, but of course it was means tested. So only certain people could apply, and you had to apply for it. And so it wasn't something that everybody could take advantage of. And it was a small amount. And the graduate students were like, we still want a raise, effectively. And the university was like, no, we're not going to do this. And there was pressure from the system wide to really close this up. You had the academic senate at UC Santa Cruz, you had the system-wide academic senate, you had professors at UC Santa Cruz, professors elsewhere in the system coming out and saying, we support these student workers. They're essentially subsidizing the true cost of undergraduate education with their labor because they're being underpaid. And the UC was like, no, we don't want to do this. So they ended up pursuing a lot of these student protesters that had been involved in this activism. There were a lot of police that came to the protests. There were drones that were recording it, above them. There was documentation of all kinds of surveillance. I think the administration put together a website asking faculty and undergraduates to essentially root out which tell on or snitch on which graduate students were involved in this. And you had professors and academics and people saying, whoa, this is not cool. You guys need to stop, meaning the administration. Like, these surveillance techniques and coercion techniques are really not okay. And they ended up pursuing all kinds of disciplinary charges on a lot of these students. And surprise, surprise, a lot of the students that had serious disciplinary charges were people of color. But it was really intense. And so I think, to get to the heart of your question, students are definitely speaking up, and they are deeply concerned about the rights of their fellow people to live and to thrive, particularly under all the pressures of austerity in our world today. And a big recent event was these protests for the graduate students. Basically
so
raised.
So what you're saying is they're not fighting for weed being legalized anymore. They're fighting for this.
I'm fighting for my life.
Donald Trump has been impeached a second time. My question is, Is this necessary and even worth it to impeach him a second time now that he's out of office?
Why not?
Why not?
I mean, seriously. I mean, it's like, I think one of the things that, there's so many things about what happened a couple of weeks ago that were just unbelievably horrible. But I think in the case of acknowledging what he did, he should have been booted from office a long time ago. But obviously he's an expression of a lot of problems that have been going on in this country for a long time. So he's not alone. He's not the only person or only anything that is an expression of white supremacy. So, impeaching him, locking him up is not going to solve those problems. It feels good. It will look good too. And I think it's necessary, but it's not going to solve those problems. But I do think they need to follow through with it, because in a way, and I'm a little split on this, but I think it is an expression of state power. That's ultimately what it is. It's the expression of the state saying, we're not going to allow this. This is not acceptable. It's not acceptable for somebody shouldn't be acceptable for anybody, but acceptable for somebody with such immense power to be the ringleader of such an insurrection that was driven entirely by lies and falsehoods and conspiracy. I mean, in a way, I'm not big on the idea of saying, all right, let's just all bow down to the great state power. But I think in a way, it is important for the United States to make this point. They got to say, we're not going to tolerate this. It is incredible with Trump. He just get away with one thing after another. It was like zero accountability. And then even at the end there, finally Twitter banned him. And then all these other companies started banning him. And a lot of people had legit criticism of, oh, well, you're doing this right at the end, so it didn't cost you anything. You're just doing this for some kudos points now, bravo. And that's true. These companies made a lot of money off of it. And I think, one of the ways in which that works is a lot of these, and this maybe is a contentious thing to say, but I think a lot of these news networks that are centrist or leaning liberal, they continuously talk about Trump, continuously talking about Trump. Trump this, Trump that, we hate Trump, Trump is evil, blah, blah, blah. It just goes on and on and on. And I was thinking about this. Like, obviously this is an issue. We know that this is an issue. We know that these networks make a ton of money off of drawing people's attention because of Trump. But what is another attribute of this? And I was thinking on that thread of like gaslighting, specifically gaslighting Black people, gaslighting people of color. And what does it mean when you have these powerful media networks continuously talking about a white supremacist? Well, they're giving it airtime.
Yes.
It's a way to talk about white supremacy without saying the word. There's a way to say, here, look at the picture of the swastika, but we're not going to talk about what it means, but look at the picture. I mean, I don't think that was, I highly suspect that was not their intention.
It was like a Trojan horse of white supremacy, just to keep it.
I think that was the effect. I mean, who knows? But I think it's highly likely that the people, the producers and all that, the showrunners, the hosts, I highly, highly doubt that was their intention or goal, or even maybe ever contemplated. But I think a true factor of the reality is that is what was going on.
Yeah. And there's been some studies about how people watch the news, especially the negativity and news that just is telling you all bad story after bad story after bad story, begins to burden people's psyche and increases their stress levels, whether they realize it or not. And so you get people who watch the news and there's been no good news. There's been nothing that's more informative as to what's going on in the world other than just the bad shit. And all of a sudden people come away with it feeling informed, yet stressed even more, and even at a heightened, sense of emotion, or their mental state is not more at ease. And so I think that could be something that you could say was part of that coverage. We keep covering how bad he is, and it's sensational. You know, you're kind of drawn to it, just like you're drawn to just, you got to see what happened in that explosion over there, because you want to know. You don't want to not know, but you also know that if you go see what happened, it could traumatize you, and it could be a very small, like a scratch or a breath of traumatization, or it could be a very brutal, devastating hit of traumatization based upon what it is. And I feel like it was just small winds and breezes of traumatization just blowing on you, a fan just.
Yeah, I mean, I guess one thing I would add is I have been pleasantly surprised at the executive orders that Biden has issued thus far.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's a heck of a long way to go.
Yeah,
there's no question. He's not off the hook.
Yeah,
but I have been pleasantly surprised. But I don't think those would have necessarily happened if it wasn't for the efforts of hundreds of thousands of protesters and activists and advocates and organizers pushing over the last 4 years and longer than that. I don't think that would have necessarily happened. Does he have to pull back the Muslim ban? I mean, I think most people even forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
Forgot it probably even exists, still going on.
Mm-hmm.
Did he have to do that? You know, I mean, you could look at past administrations and how many policies continue from one administration to the next, and people just forget about.
Yeah.
You know,
shout out to the 1776 project they were trying to pass.
Right. Oh yeah, that was something else. I mean, I think Biden's team did what they did with those executive orders, and hopefully there'll be more because of immense pressure.
Okay. Aaron, what about you?
We definitely wasted more taxpayer money doing less, right? I'm in agreement with Matt where yes, it doesn't solve anything, right? But I think it's needed and should be done. It should have been done the first time around, and he shouldn't have been in office after the first impeachment. But my reaction to a lot of people when they would be like, "Oh, did you see what Trump did last night?" I'm like, why are you surprised, right? Like, we're at the point where, why is it even news anymore? Like, my mom will watch it and get so riled up, and I'm like, why are you watching it? He's just going to do something or say something that's going to upset someone in this world, right? And it's not like one of those people that, oh, my politics are just different and it might upset some people. It's like, no. He's just inflammatory towards most people of color, most people of intellect, all people, majority people of color, majority people with any kind of an intellect and any kind of good nature, right? And so it was like, why give it that energy? I always say, why give it energy? If you just ignore it, yes, he's not going to go away, but then we take away all the attention we get. Like, it didn't have to be Fox News, right?
Mm-hmm.
It didn't, like I used to say in the past, like, there were racist people on radio back when radio was a hit. Don Imus had his fucking show. He was a misogynistic bigot, right? But I never wanted it to leave. I didn't want a show to get censored, because I'm like, the bigots go to his show, and then all the rest of us go to where we want to go and have what we have. Let the bigots talk and get this shit out the way, and then I don't have to hear it in person, right? They have a place for their bigotry, and I'm fine with that, right? I'm fine. I'm not going to change their minds and don't want to change their minds to who they are, because I won't trust them. But when you give something so much life, we kept breathing life into his idiocy. I know I said that wrong, but we kept breathing life into it with news station, with friends of mine who people are calling me. Oh, did you see what he? And I'm like, what can he do to surprise me? There was nothing nothing surprised me after like the beginning, even after his campaign in the first few months of him signing executive orders and holding them up. I'm like, there's no surprise anymore. By the second year into his presidency, there was no surprise, and it's like, we got 4 years to make it through this. We will. It won't be easy. And then let's do what we need to do to get them out. And then, and then to me, when the Capitol insurrection happened, I was like, this is even better. I was deeply disturbed, but at the same time, I was like, this is even better right now, because he's basically done. He's done. I was really thinking like, he might run again in 4 years.
He was probably going to get a library until the insurrection.
Not if he probably, well, that all comes out there. Yeah, he had a chance. You're right. He would have been able to get a library in certain cities. Now that's even gone. Like, he has to go to some small ass town.
He's going to go to the sovereign zone of QAnon theories. He was like, we're going to build you a library.
he has to be on the opposite side of Signal, Michigan to get like one of they. That's where his library is at now. At
His
best,
library will be in a bunker somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seriously. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree.
So that's why I say go ahead and go with it.
You know, for a lot of people, and I had a lot of friends and people that were like, man, you see what he said? Like you're saying, Aaron, you see what he did? Do you see, oh man, this is gonna be the end from here, or this is the man, that's bad. They might really. I was like, they're not gonna do anything. They control this. The Republicans control the Senate. He's a deflection enough of the things they want to pass and the things they want to manipulate within the Senate right now. And I'm as much somebody who distrusts corporations as I distrust the government. So like but there's an importance for both. So we need to get to a more enlightened and a more balanced representation of a free economy and a government, you know, that is empowered and valued in our country. And that's something that I think has been, our cynicism around it has been, you know, flipped up on its head multiple times to where we don't know who to trust. And he's somebody that, shout out to RCO2, my brother, who, you know, said like he came into office spouting fake news. And now it's like, it's part of the common American vernacular. It's like, that's how much he's embedded himself into us. And so for me, I was like, I don't want to even like incorporate what he says, because I know he's already bad. I already know he's a narcissistic man. He only cares about himself. He's a jerk off. He presented himself as a jerk off. He is a jerk off. So as much as anything he can do in office other than like kill somebody, or what, you know, me and Matt went out to one of the rallies when he almost put us into a war with Iran. Like if he's doing things that are going to put, you know what I'm saying, Americans at risk in the way that is like people getting killed. I know kids were getting put in cages, but that was something that was going on before he got in office too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying our immigration got better, but I'm also saying our immigration wasn't great to begin with. It wasn't perfect. So these are things that we're working on, but all this stuff about what he's doing, I'm like, there's a lot of things that we have to see were already happening in the process. There's a lot of things that we've progressed from that were way worse than him. You know what I'm saying? So as much as he is a lightning rod, as much as social media had built people up into, you know, focusing and just being caught up on that shit show that was going on and that circus act, that reality television show, I was just like, there's plenty of better things that we've progressed from, or bad things that we've progressed from to get to here. And this is a step backwards, but we can't focus on this as though this is a beacon of the ills of our world, because the ills of our world have been in perpetuity throughout. They have been a common theme that we've been trying to hopefully work and progress from. Is he taking us back from those things? Is he putting up new barriers that we now have to re-jump over, or new barriers that hadn't been put up yet that we have to now navigate to continue that progress? Yes, and that sucks. He's a terrible human being, but he hasn't done anything that's going to get him out, because they control the Senate and he is their meat shield for everything else they want to get. So it was one of those things where I was like, fuck, like it sucks, but let's not give him that power. Let's try and ignore him if you can. It's fun to talk about. You know, SNL did a funny skit about what are we going to talk about now that he's not in office? It's like, I don't have me and my friends have nothing to commonly agree on. Like, so yeah, like, fuck that fool. He's a shithead. He's an idiot. He can eat a dick, but he's gone, you know? The one thing I will say is that I feel like Trump is a prime example. He is the friends of social media censorship. That's what I will say.
I genuinely don't know what that means.
Well, the friends pushed us into, you know, reality TV, you know, and so now he pushed us into social media censorship. That's what he is.
Got it.
Yeah. Peadro, what do you think about this this impeachment? Is it necessary? Should we follow through with it or not?
It is unnecessary. Wait a minute. No. It is necessary. I don't know about law, but we have to convict this man. This man needs to go to jail. He's done a lot to create a lot of capitalistic power. So you can go to government and just change whatever you want to do. If we're going to keep a democracy, we got to make an example out of him. But I want to come around to the point. I want Joe Biden to work on global warming, because this shit is pissing me off. Dude, I was on Highway 17. You guys can Google this on news. They literally shut down Arizona as I was driving. So I was headed up to Grand Junction, and I got shut down and turned around by the DOT because it's a damn blizzard out here.
So y'all getting a blizzard and California ain't getting shit?
Yeah, crazy, ain't it? We in them times.
Well, Matt, thank you for joining us, man. Appreciate your time and your thoughts on things. It was a good chat, and we look forward to having you back on some other time. Maybe chat some more things.
Thank you very much. It was good to talk to everyone.
We also want to at some point want to talk to you. Oh, Pedro's eating wings. We want to talk to you about some the 4D videos at one point.
I have to apologize for my audio, man. I'm sorry. I had so many questions for you, but I have to catch you.
No worries. We'll talk again.
Yeah.
We'll do it again. We'll get it another time. But man, have a good night and thank you again.
All right. Hope you guys all have a good evening. All right. Bye.
Thanks. See you later, man.
The NFL season is nearing its end as the Super Bowl is now set. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers defeated the Green Bay Packers of Wisconsin to advance to the Super Bowl. And in the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs defeated a surprise contender in the Buffalo Bills to advance to the Super Bowl. My question is, what are your takeaways from the NFC and AFC championship game, or were there any takeaways? And who you got in the Super Bowl?
I'll start with AFC. AFC was exactly how I thought was going to happen. My boy Patrick Mahomes came through like usual. They just coasted. Did you know they've only punted once this playoffs? They've only had one punt, and they have controlled the clock. They've showed that you could pass the ball and control the clock. Quite amazing how well they do at controlling the clock. Kansas City's coasted this whole year. NFC was exactly how I thought it was going to happen too. Your boy Aaron Rodgers is going to get up there and lose another NFC title game. So this is Jared. I'm a Green Bay owner. I'm one of those people. 2 Green Bay owners, me and Duck, and I told you they didn't get my royalty because I had to pay money to get into this ownership to get that one stock of Green Bay that I can't sell. You heard me tell you before. They didn't buy my loyalty. I bought part of this team, but they didn't get my loyalty. They got to prove it. And since I bought into the stock, they have not earned crap. They couldn't beat the Niners. All those years, they couldn't beat the Niners. They didn't beat the Cowboys, really. They won on paper, but they didn't really win that game.
Don't bring that up.
If we really think about it, Aaron Rodgers, his legacy is this. Good quarterback. You always see Aaron Rodgers do exactly what he do. Which when he got an easy slate and he's going against, when everything goes right, Aaron Rodgers looks like the best quarterback that ever put on the football pads. When everything's going right. That means the blocking, the play calling. He's very moody. His play is moody. You've never seen Aaron Rodgers pull out a game and where shit's not going right. Like, I want him to do what I see Tom Brady do, what I see Russell Wilson do, what I see Patrick Mahomes do, where everything goes to shit in the game, whether it's my fault, no matter whose fault it is, I'm going to win this shit. Aaron Rodgers never does that. He's on the side. And let me tell you, 13 times this year, things went right. So this game, he had every opportunity, right? They go down, they're back in it, and they look like, oh, Aaron Rodgers has a chance to finally prove what he has never done before, right? Let me go out here and battle through. Tom Brady throws 3 picks. The first pick was at the end of the third, and then he threw 2 in the fourth quarter. Tom Brady did not play well, but yet Aaron Rodgers did not respond to a single one of those picks with the score. He didn't respond. And then at the end of the game, he just didn't have the feeling. I heard Michael Vick talk about today. It's like, man, he's like, Aaron Rodgers, he kept forcing it inside. He's like, dude, that side was wide open. And like, I don't know, was it the sacks that kept him from feeling that he could make it? Like, he had no problem. He had less space than that with the game against the Rams, which he ran a touchdown in. But guess what? Everything was going right against the Rams. Why? Aaron Donald couldn't even lift his fucking arm. Aaron Donald couldn't play. You could tell by the third snap of that game, you could tell Aaron Donald was not the same Aaron Donald. A guy who got double teamed for almost 80% of the plays he played on. Never, ever done. Not Lawrence Taylor, not Reggie White. No one. 80% of the plays, they didn't have to double team him. So you knew he wasn't healthy. And guess what? Aaron Rodgers runs in a touchdown in which he had no space, but everything's going right. So he's, discount double checking, doing his thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it went exactly how I thought it was going to go once Tom Brady reached Aaron Rodgers in the game.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like a really great quarterback that won a Super Bowl, which we expected him to do, right?
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, a really great quarterback, won a Super Bowl like we expected him. Won one Super Bowl like we expected him to do.
Yeah.
I want you to be able to carry a Super Bowl later on. And Aaron Rodgers only been to one. That's the problem. He's only been to one. Patty Mahomes is already in his second Super Bowl.
Should be in his third, but thanks, Steve.
He should be in his third, but this is his chance. So leading into my Super Bowl prediction. This Patty Mahomes, I got Patty Mahomes winning this. And because let me tell you, when it comes to beating a dynasty, you take it from a dynasty. I saw the Niners take it from the Cowboys in the 80s. My brother-in-law, I didn't see it myself, but I was old enough when it was still budding and the 49ers was rolling into the peak of their dynasty. And my brother-in-law told me then, this is when I was getting into football, he said, you know what, Aaron? He said, the Niners took it from them. You got to wrestle a dynasty from somebody, and guess what? Patty Mahomes is in position. He's going to wrestle it away this next 2 Sundays from now.
Okay. Peadro, any takeaways from the AFC and NFC championship games, and then who you got in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, so I did notice that.
Should have went first. Han shot first, and Peadro should have went first.
My takeaway was Josh Allen ain't ready for that smoke just yet. But I saw him grow this season and make steps that I didn't think he was going to make, at least this early on. So I got to give him kudos because I dogged him. I was talking shit about him. So I'll give him some credit for looking like a much more composed quarterback that can make throws that, were some nice throws down the field. He's got an arm to do it. Does he have accuracy and the mind to do it? So, do
you think that offense is a little gimmicky though? It's talented and it's well coached, but he reminds me of the offense that the Washington football team ran with RG3. Like it's a little gimmicky still.
No, I think my main thing is that I saw him throws down the field, down the seams at times that I was like, that's professional quarterback throws.
He has the strongest arm.
And compared to Mitchell Trubisky, who had success early on because he had a great defense and had a head coach that Sean McVayed himself into maximizing his potential for that year, they were able to make the playoffs. And Trubisky,
he throws a lot of 1 yard and 0 yard passes.
They do. He has some scat back type receivers.
A lot.
But the main thing is like if you can extend plays like Russell Wilson or Roethlisberger and learn how to do that, then you can make more efficient throws down the field later on. But the main thing is that I saw him stand in the pocket and have better pocket presence than what I saw the first couple seasons. And so I got to give him credit for developing that skill set or growing that skill set. The other thing I will say this is Tom Brady's most talented offensive team that he's had in his career. So as much people want to be like, man, Tom Brady's the GOAT.
More talented than the Randall Moss and
you remember? Wait, he played one of those seasons. Yeah, no, he balled with Randy Moss. But you think about who he had? He had Corey Dillon, Randy Moss.
No, Corey Dillon's gone. It was Randall. Who was the tight end on that team? It was Randall Moss, the little wide receiver that came over from Miami that went to Denver. Wes Welker.
You look at the talent he has. He has Mike. No, nobody is as good as Randy Moss was, right? Mm-hmm. But if you have a 1-2 punch and Antonio Brown, you got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, who have proven to be plus and really good receivers in this league, and you have an AB who's you've been working in since week 10 or 12, whatever they signed him, and you got Gronkowski back, and you got OJ Howard, who is a top.
He's out. He's been out the whole year. He got hurt.
I saw him in a game recently.
You didn't see that.
He's back. Howard. Oh, anyways, then they also got Leonard Fournette, who was, the next McFadden, who was the dude who's like, surefire pick. I'm just saying, on paper, he has the most talent around him in this team that he's ever had.
Probably does.
So, he should be about where he's at right now. But for me, I'm gonna take the Chiefs. I don't want to take Brady. I'm hoping Brady loses. I hope Patrick Mahomes takes away this title from him and says, I'm the next great one, and I'm gonna win 6 or 7 titles to put you in second place. That'll be tight. I'll root for that. And the Cowboys maybe to win a couple games here and there.
That's gonna happen. My boy Patty Mahomes gonna do it, Jared. He gonna do it. Watch. You giving your boy Andy Reid. We know he's like ridiculous off of buys. You giving him basically a bye because there's no game next week. He gonna scheme this shit to death. Expect Tyreek Evans to have your boy Tyreek Evans is gonna have a big ass
Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill is gonna have a big ass game. I'm talking about 200 plus total yards. I expect him to get some runs in. He gonna be out really wide. They gonna really scheme him wide to really make this defense play more of the field.
I'm gonna put it on Sammy Watkins. Is he still playing?
Here's the thing. They lost both. They lost. Well, he was on the team. I don't know, man. Hartman looked good. So the thing is, when you got Mahomes, he make everybody out there look good. So put the speed on the field. This Tampa Bay hasn't seen the speed yet. Like your boy Devontae Adams. I finally see this year showed me why your boy Chad Ochocinco Johnson was crying. Watch it, just cry, man. It's artwork, man. This is art. It's a masterpiece. The dude is a route runner extraordinaire. I ain't seen no one run routes like that since Rice. Rice, T.O., and Devontae Adams run some of the best routes I've ever seen. But he ain't got the speed that this Kansas City about to put on that field. That defense, look, the Niners defense was 10 times better than what this Tampa Bay defense is, and consistent. They were good, and they went out there and they got it done. Then they gonna get it done. And just to let you know, O.J. Howard tore his Achilles tendon in week 4, Jared.
Oh, shout out to O.J. Howard sponsorship.
October 6th, whatever week that was.
Come on the show, man. Come on the show.
It was week 4. Week 4, he tore his. I told you, I was like, no, you didn't see him recently. He's been out the whole year.
Oh, that's maybe the last time I watched the game. I'm just kidding. My next question for you is: was this Aaron Rodgers' last best chance to win a second Super Bowl and cement himself in the same vein as Peyton Manning or a John Elway? For me, I feel as though there's tiers of quarterbacks, and you have Tom Brady and Montana up there that have won the titles and the games and just been, just consummate goats of what people would consider. And then underneath that, you have like the Peyton Mannings, you have the John Elways, you have the Troy Aikmans, you got the Drew Breeses, you got the Brett Favres. There's various quarterbacks that can fall under that category, Dan Marino's, but the titles also, add a certain level of like, this cements you above them. Not only did you have a great career regular season, but now because you have a title or a second title, not just one, you are for sure going to always be kept in that top 5 consideration, which I think that Aaron Rodgers could be, but without a second title, he'll probably be more than likely left out.
Like Drew Brees, just a guy to get a lot of stats, a lot of great numbers. Aaron Rodgers' numbers are unbelievable. Look at the numbers he put up this year. He is the MVP from this year. But when it came down to shaboom, he missed shebang. I feel like this. I agree with you. There's like kind of a tier system. And I feel like that second title gets you more legitimacy. I don't know if I give Peyton Manning that credit because this second title, I would have gave Peyton Manning that credit if he won a second title the year they played Seattle in the Super Bowl. Right? Because the offense, he couldn't do nothing with that offense. They basically got shut out to the very last. They scored at the very end of the game, an offensive touchdown at the very end. That would have gave them a little more gave Peyton Manning, for me, legitimacy, because that would have been like, that's the greatest defense of this era, right? Is the Legion of Boom. He has a second title, but that second title came during his worst year of his career. He retired at the end of the year. He had to retire. If they didn't win the title, he had to retire at the end of this year. His neck was all tore up. Man, it just hurt my own neck talking about that. The same as like with Aaron Rodgers, that second title gives you a little legitimacy because the first title, yes, you won. You're a Super Bowl quarterback, but there's a lot of things around it. Like, did the team get hot? Did it just have a great year? Did you have a lot of veteran presence? Now, this second one would have been like, yes, Aaron Rodgers. Yes, he led us to the other one, but he led us to this one, right? He's in the prime or past the prime, but he led us to this one. And that's what the second title gives you. And for Aaron Rodgers, I feel like he hasn't put his team in the play. Dude, he lost to Alex Smith and the Niners in the playoffs. That one gets me every time. That was when I was done. Well, I really was done when he lost to Cap in the regular season. And Cap started his first game against Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. And he dusted them off. And then they played each other in the playoffs. And what did he do? Dusted them off then. And I was like, oh, God, he's going to lose again in the play. Can he beat the Niners in the playoffs? Can he at least give me that? And he couldn't do that.
I think he's going to be right there with like Ben Roethlisberger. That's where he's going to fall. Drew Brees and Ben Roethlisberger. Is he better than those two?
But Roethlisberger I think he's better than those two, but Roethlisberger got 2.
Roethlisberger has 2 titles. So then I don't know that Roethlisberger is necessarily better.
No, but the second one legitimized Roethlisberger.
But it legitimized Roethlisberger as being
the first one was all about that running game. Remember, he didn't even throw a touchdown in the first Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Your boy
Fast Willie Parker
balled out, and your boy Antoine Randall L threw that touchdown.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So he went into it, having a wide receiver who played quarterback in college throw more touchdowns than it. But he came back in his second one, shot it out with Arizona, and legitimized his claim.
Yeah. Well, then here's the thing. It's like now Aaron Rodgers, I would consider him better than Ben Roethlisberger, but Roethlisberger has 2 titles. So arguably people are going to be like, well, Roethlisberger's got the 2 titles. There's something to be said about like, him taking advantage of this opportunity. I think that if he doesn't win a second title, which he needs to win, to be considered one of the greats, like the greats, not like the champ and great. Like, he's got to be considered one of the greats of all time because he's been that good. But when we start differentiating and finding those little layers, kind of like my vendetta quotient, you differentiate the elite from the good. You know, like how can Aaron Rodgers do that? And for him, a big part of that is trying to get that second title. And if he can't get that second title, he'll be like a better version of Brett Favre, in my opinion. But Brett Favre will always have, more wins than him unless he can win, another 60 wins in the next several seasons. Which
Brett Favre has that many more wins?
Brett Favre got 186 wins, career wins.
Wow.
Aaron Rodgers has 126 career wins.
Which is crazy because Brett Favre had years where he didn't make the playoffs.
I think for him to be considered the best quarterback to play for the Green Bay Packers and to be considered a top 5 quarterback, he has to win another title. Cutty Corner Shoutouts. Cutty Corner Shoutouts is the segment we end the show on. Each person gets a chance to rant, complain, or highlight something positive that they want to, check in on and shed light on. So Cutty Corner Shoutouts. Cutty Corner Shoutouts.
It's time.
If you listen, help! So cold and bleeding now. I'm in for this, man. Gonna let you down. He had sex with my mama. We're broken people now. I just said I need a backyard.
Aaron, do you have a Cutty Corner shout out?
I do. Now, I was close to being that new Popeyes lady. I'll tell you that right now, Jared. Like the last couple of weeks, I've been holding on to that. But you know what? There's been enough going around that it's not the new Popeyes lady. My Cutty Corner shout this week goes out to the NBA and the NBA Player Association. They are in talks right now to have an All-Star game after announcing there would not be an All-Star game all during their planning to the beginning. It was going to be a week off or a week and a half or 2 weeks off where they would play makeup games, this and that. Now they're in talks of having it this year in Atlanta. Dude, we are in this pandemic. I don't know if you know this, but it seems like there's been twice as many basketball players that's tested positive for COVID than any of NFL football players on teams that have 100 personnel has had less positive COVID tests than the NBA players, right? First, your players griping about the deal that you guys made on new protocols. Who was that the other week complaining? George Hill talking about this and that.
I'm a grown-ass man if I want to see my family.
Grown-ass men talking about you can't tell me what to do. Paying them millions to do this. Then you're going to go out of all places that never close strip clubs, didn't close things. You're going to go out and have an all-star game there. What kind of symbol are you sending your fans, right? And what are you sending people like me who play fantasy basketball and have yet to have a full lineup since the first week? Fantasy basketball has been trash, man. I got players on COVID, they test positive for COVID, mandatory 14 to 21 days off. Problem is some of them been sick, so they ain't been able to come back. I'm playing my fantasy team. I lost to DJartt this week. DJartt was one of the worst teams. He was in last place. Thanks to playing me in fantasy basketball. He in 6th, 5th.
No, 8th place. I'm back to 8th place now. Yeah.
So he still didn't pass me up, but it dropped me all the way. I had nobody play this week. DJartt, you had almost as many field goals made than I had attempted. That's how many players I didn't have this week. Everybody's game has been postponed and canceled. I've had players not play all week that don't have COVID, And here's the thing: someone's like, "Oh, it's fine though, because you're gonna make it up. You're gonna make it up when later on when they do the makeup games. You'll probably catch up somebody." No, it does not necessarily, because for the players of mine who got COVID, they don't get to make up games. Their games were played, right? So I'm losing out, and so NBA. Think twice before you always want to put yourself as this very socially conscious league, right? Well, we're socially conscious. We wear hoodies. We don't play games. We talk about things. We put shit on the back of our jerseys. I put I can't breathe on the back of my jersey. But guess what, NBA? I couldn't breathe the other day. You know why? Because I was gagging while trying to burp and while having on my sleep apnea machine. But you don't see me putting on the back of my fucking shirt. I'm over there feeling like I'm Philip Seymour Hoffman of myself, right? In my sleep. And you don't see me putting the back of no shirt and gonna say, "Oh man, I'm socially conscious. I got let me be me fight oppression. Good, I believe in all that. We should be fighting oppression. I'm fine with those symbols. Don't host no fucking All-Star game in Atlanta if you want me to know that you fine with it too. Don't be greedy.
They host the All-Star game in Atlanta and have all kinds of beautiful nigga going on.
They gonna have that.
Peadro, do you have a Cutty Corner shout out?
Okay, so my Cutty Corner shout out goes to Blizzards. Damn you, Blizzards. No, my real Cutty Corner shout out goes to the Detroit Lions for hiring that coach. I don't know his name.
Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell. He was a mediocre blocking tight end.
He was a bad blocking tight end. Yeah, he was very mediocre.
He got brought around just to block.
Okay, so did he get 6 years? Did I read that somewhere? Did he get a 6-year contract? And he's a rah-rah guy. And he ain't no X's and O guy. He's a rah-rah. He looks like a broke-ass Bill Cowher. Why the hell are you giving that man a contract like that? And all these qualified coaches that are proving, all these assistant coaches that are proving, they got Tom Brady over. Tom Bowles got Tom Brady to the Super Bowl again. Okay? Tom Bowles by himself. Leslie Frazier shut down, although he couldn't do it against Patrick Mahomes, but Patrick Mahomes is the next coming of white Jesus, I guess.
White Jesus.
Yeah, but you know, Leslie Frazier got to coach them up at the end of the season, shutting teams down with his defense. Got another coach, not Teddy Bridgewater. Reimagine moment for that. What's his name? Brian Leftwich. Brian Leftwich got Tom Brady's noodle arm to the Super Bowl. Brian Leftwich, obviously some type of brilliant mind. He got Tom Brady back to the Super Bowl off of doing avocado ice cream. And you see all these bright minds, all these coaches, and you hire this Dan Campbell, some idiot, knee-gnawing, knee-biting, dirty hit, play after the whistle, ass, rah-rah coach in. So Detroit Lions, you get my Cutty Corner shout out. That is despicable. It is an outrage. Did you hear me?
Yep.
Did I go through?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, Dan Campbell is trying to be their new Mike Singletary. They
Dan Campbell on cocaine.
They're like, can you beat up the players still? All right, we can have you be the head coach. He can still fight.
That's the way he made it seem like.
Yeah, he's like he came out there trying to sound like my boy.
I want people that want to win.
Yeah.
I want people that want to. They drove off. They drove off your boy Calvin Johnson. So that team is dysfunctional. Yeah. He's like, we're gonna bite one knee off, and then you're gonna knock us down. I'm like, wait. How many times you gonna get knocked down before you got to get back up and continue to take chunks out of him? I'm like, bro, like that don't sound right. Like, number one, I don't want you to knock me down, but it just in the happenstance that you do knock us down once, maybe twice, not a third, fourth, and fifth time. Like, he's like, and then we're gonna go back down again, and then we're gonna get back up. And they're gonna knock us down again, and then we're gonna get back up. And I was like, bruh.
I'm gonna scratch you in your eye.
I like, you need to game plan better. Yeah. Game plan better so that you don't go down so much, or get some blowjob Nike so you can stay on your feet. That's right. Blowjob Nikes. Shout out sponsorship. My Cutty Corner shout out goes out to the real home run king. Bonds did his thing. I'm not gonna hate on Bonds. He did steroids when everybody else was doing steroids, so I kind of give him credence. But the home run king, Hank Aaron, who did it in a time of still great racism and great bigotry in our country, in a time when there was he was in the South. He played in Atlanta for a portion of his career. How long did he play for the Braves?
For a majority of his career. They were also in Milwaukee at part of it though too before they moved to Atlanta. But he also played in the what was it called, the Southeastern Atlantic League. So he was like the first black player in that one, the AAA minor league system out there. Mm-hmm. And that was all in South Carolina and Virginia and a little bit of North Carolina. And that was a racist ass league, I heard. That's all you heard. Like, he really set the poor standard there and had to battle through a lot of racism down there.
Yeah. And he came in playing ball. I shout out to Todd sponsorship. He sent me a Reddit link that had his original scouting report as an 18-year-old.
Uh-huh.
And he didn't play baseball in high school. So he had to, he kind of was picking up the game later on, more so, and playing sandlot ball apparently. But for him to, pave the way, pave the path he did, and pave the career he did, and pave the way for other people after him, I think that we need to keep that in mind. A lot of the media nowadays, our social media and our polarization of where you need to stand on things has made us lose sight of certain things. And shout out to the Prof Life for doing his work with King of Paradise sponsorship. I also saw something that he was talking about with a guest, and they were talking about just like the sacrifices that have been made before us, and to always be grateful for those, because it wasn't about being able to access this, that, and the other nowadays. It was about just being able to live, right? Or just being able to represent yourself and just be able to be in a space and feel comfortable to a degree that we can feel comfortable nowadays, and express ourselves to the degree that we're allowed to, whether it's perfect, whether it's 100%, that is still the work that needs to be done by the next generation. But the fact that we can get to these places and get to these spaces and have the opportunity to not feel threatened or be beaten or murdered for even wanting to be there was paved by people like Hank Aaron. And so I want to give him a shout out and ask for some
Alabama boy. He's from Alabama.
Yeah, give us some sponsorship on the show with that good juju, man. A great man in many regards, and did some great things that allowed other people to, in the sports world and in the regular world, to continue to express themselves in spaces that otherwise might have been, challenged. So shout out to him, sponsorship, and to everyone who thinks he died from his COVID shot. Let's save that. Let him be laid to rest, and let's let the autopsy. Let's let the Bradley Bill's wife came out and said some shit.
She be saying some crazy shit.
She's the next Miko Grimes. That's all I would say. Maybe she might be.
Her Miko Grimes. They got this like black QAnon thing going on. You know what? It's funny. I should have made them my shot. Sorry for cutting off your cutty corner. I should have made them my cutty corner. Yeah. Because they got out there. They'll sip on fucking E40's nut water and sip on all that shit. Oh, I'll drink Ciroc and E40's nut water all day, but I ain't gonna put no microchip in me. You gonna let these white people control you? No, fuck them. Fuck Bradley Bill wife, Miko Grimes, and all the black people who are out here pushing this theory. No, I can get on the people of other races that's pushing theory, but I'm black, so I don't want to start here. Stop pushing. Black folks are dying left and right by this disease, and these fools are up here making up bullshit about this goddamn vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck you. If it wasn't for vaccines, your ass will have bow-legged legs, not because you lying down in bed and letting all these players rail you. You have bow-legged legs because you have polio.
I agree with Aaron with that. It's like I said last week, it's starting to weigh on relationships. I'm like, I had enough. You guys are just too reckless with your words, and everybody listens to the celebrity. So you're gonna have black people just out here dying because everybody's listening to the celebrity word. They think they gotta find somebody to look up to. I'm so sick of black people being sheep. I'm sick of it. Literally dying. You out here dying from COVID, and you guys got all these conspiracy theories. Y'all out partying. Look at Bow Wow. I want to smack the shit out of Bow Wow. Stupid ass nigga. Yes, I said nigga. Don't edit it.
Well, that is our show, my friends. Shout out to Conspiracy Theories Gone Wrong. We should do a Conspiracy Theories Gone Wrong episode. We can find conspiracy theories that have gone wrong.
I gotta get my Parler account set up before we can do that again. Shit. I need to read some of that bullshit.
I was like, man, did anybody screenshot the Parler accounts for us so we could just go through those pages?
Man. Just send them to me.
oh, by the way, you think it ain't affecting white folks? I just found out today I don't even have a transportation team because they all got COVID.
You know what you should do, Pedro? Drive that truck through their house. So that way it can be like that fourth Transformer movie when Optimus Prime is that rusted ass truck sitting inside a movie theater.
Come on.
For no fucking reason. Shout out to Michael Bay. Why the fuck is there a rusted ass semi truck inside a old movie theater? Inside.
is decrepit. There wasn't any greedy capitalists who were holding on to it who checked it periodically or were
How
trying
did
to
it get inside a movie theater, Jared? And then it was a small ass movie theater.
Shout out to Michael Bay for being an idiot.
No, it had mortar shells in it too. It had mortar shells.
You just had aliens in the movie. The third movie, aliens alien robots wiped out half of Chicago. Nobody's questioning this fucking truck with motor shells in it.
Michael Bay was given a lot of leeway to a creative license. So we know that if he were able to shoot Pride and Prejudice, there would be exploding castles in the background and probably a robot, killing somebody. So it is what it is. Aside from that, thanks for listening to the show. Any final words you guys have?
Jared, man, I can't believe this. I ain't even had dinner yet, and it's 9 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm about to go cook dinner too myself.
You usually eat about this time, though, Jared.
Hey, if anybody's, if you're listening to this show live, go ahead and check out the radar for Arizona. This is stupid.
The weather radar?
Yeah.
I keep it on my phone, Arizona, because I like making fun of you when I wake up in the morning.
Peadro over here in Die Hard 2 going on right now.
Yeah, man, dude, it was snowing in Anthem. The ground was white in the Anthem, Arizona.
Pray for Peadro, guys. Pray for Peadro, and thanks for listening to our show. Make sure you check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/highscore510. You can hear our Burnt Ends extended conversation with Quinn Perry, our guest from last week, about her roller derby time, some more stuff about movie reviews, and also we talk a little bit about Hamilton. So, check that out. Otherwise, aside from that, have a wonderful week. Stay blessed, stay healthy, and we will leave you with this.
I started off as landscape architecture until they throw all the weed out classes at you. Those early architecture classes, Matt, when you get into them and by the time you get to the second and third class and you got to draw something or design something. Well, the beginning ones, they want to work on your drawing skills. So they send you out, you're just drawing hours and hours and hours a week, more than I'm studying for my other classes. Sitting out there for hours drawing one damn hall, right? And it's crazy because it was a project that I did really well, one of the earlier projects, and they're like, oh man, this project, you should have spent 6 hours drawing it. I can tell you spent 20. That's all bad. And they give me a low grade. It's typical architecture. Next thing you know, you got a C on it. And I'm like, what the fuck? I spent 20 hours on this thing. Then they tell me to go draw South Hall on Cal campus. Most people spend at least 20 hours on that hall, right? I drew that shit quick. I mean, I might have spent 7, maybe 8 hours. You see all the architect students out there with the big ass hard boards. They're sitting there. They got the nice 4H pencils. Man, I was like, I'm not going to get caught out here seen dead with you guys.
You got that Crayola?
Man, I took that shit, put it on the wall the following Monday, right? Where they grade you in front of everybody, which is also another horrible thing. That's like, hey man, it don't take no respect to where you come from and how you like to do it. And I spent 4 hours on it. I
actually like that.
Well, that's because you was drawing. Well, here's the problem. I put my picture on the wall, 4 hours on it, didn't even connect all my lines, nothing. And they start talking about, oh, they really like the gestalt and how I opened up the building by not collecting this line. I was like, motherfucker, I just didn't have time. And they're like, next thing I know, I got an A- on some shit. And I'm like, you know what? This might not be for me. You know what it is? It's like, let's say I was born and I played basketball my whole life, where I competed against somebody or I had a time or something. And then all of a sudden, next thing I know, they say, hey, this is how we're going to judge your basketball. You go out and run up and down the court for 48 minutes to shoot the ball, and we're going to have these judges score you on something that was
challenging educational environment. There's different opinions on it. There are some folks that really don't that advocate strongly against the traditional studio environment and the jury type review. I'm a little biased because I enjoyed that, but I completely sympathize with the criticisms at the same time.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy the grading part of it or the studio environment?
I enjoyed it all. I liked the show where you kind of stand up in front of people and you give a little performance.
See, you probably were a good artist. See, here's the thing, Matt. I went in there drawing like up until that point, I was still doing stick figures, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't know how to draw. Like, I mean, and then here's the thing: you sit in there with dudes who are straight artists, right? Like it seemed like you're into the history of design and those aspects. Some of those dudes were just people who parents told them you can't go and be an artist. Like they should have been in some artistic school. They really wanted to go to school and take like some artist school or something, Claremont College of Artistry in Southern California.
I think you raised an interesting point. You definitely raised an interesting point. So when I went to architecture school, I didn't, formally study design in undergrad. So, I didn't have the skill set, the technical skill set that some of my classmates had. So, I sympathize with that. And you go there and exactly what you're saying, you see people, it's like, oh my God, they know all the ins and outs and how to do every little thing. Yeah,
they could draw with their eyes closed, man.
Aaron, I think you forgot though. When you walked into them halls trying to be an architect, they had to remind you.
You're a black boy.
Everybody was so competitive that like even the stuff that you're not supposed to spend hours on, and they tell you, oh, okay, we're gonna work with foam core and build a project, and you're in there and you're like, all right, let me finish. I was like, all right, let me get ahead on this. I'm gonna go to studio on Thursday. It's due. Most projects would do Monday for us, right? So I would go studio like I really get serious on Thursday. Didn't really work on it on Friday, but Saturday I'm gonna spend. Saturday gonna be my overnight, and then you'll see people that's sitting there and they're like, oh, I haven't left here. I live here. One dude had his toothbrush, everything. And I was just like, you know what, man, my life can't be this way, man. Architects, I can't do this, man. He was like brushing himself. I was like, why are you brushing your teeth here, man? It's a dirty ass building we in. You've seen the College of Environmental Design at Cal. Whoever invented that, whatever architect built that, designed that, they need to go ahead, find his body and lay the fingers on the ground and put a piece of metal over and step on it, because that is a poorly designed building. And it felt horrible to be inside of it. That's the thing. I'm like, was this part of design? Look, I got more out of that college, just the fact that the elevator didn't stop on every floor. One of the floors, men's bathroom, had a glory hole. First time I ever seen a glory hole was in there. I bought all my friends some doors, man. You got to see this, man. I ain't never seen. We talked about it, but let's see what in person.
The College of Environmental Design made it very clear.
Cannot play with them. Cannot win with them. Cannot coach with them. Can't do it.
Worcester Hall. That's the name of the building. Worcester Hall. Horrible.
They got it in Latin that says,
I want winners.
On the outside. They want people that
I don't remember if William Worcester designed that building or not, but there's a lot of really interesting buildings in the Bay Area.
Hey, you know what, Matt? See, here's the thing, Matt. I'll talk bad about dead people. So you could grab up William Worcester, whoever designed that shit that's falling down, that's sinking into San Francisco. We could grab them all and just throw them all in one hole.
Dude.